Alright, what's up guys, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh video. So today's video is going to be another big mail day. This is part of the collection purchase that I've been making for about the last year. We've had already, I think, 4 different parts with like OG cards, promos, unlimited stuff, and like just all the different things I've been buying. And this time we're going through the GX cards from this seller. So this is all first edition GX stuff. A lot of the heaviest hitters that this seller had, she already sold a few years back. So they're not complete sets, and they are missing most of the like ultra ultis and things like that. But there's still a lot of awesome cards in here. Nearly all of it is pack fresh. So yeah, lots of awesome stuff. Let's just get right into it. Okay, so we'll go through the sets in order. So starting with Soul the Duelist and going all the way through to Light of Destruction. In general, the earlier sets are like closer to being complete, and the later sets are less complete. But yeah, it kind of varies by set. So these are the ultis from Soul the Duelist, starting with my two favorites from the set, the fusions. This Ojama King is really nice and clean. It's a little bit OC top to bottom, but I'm probably still going to try and grade it. Depending on the grader, it might just about be able to pass for a gem. Most of the SOD does have the waxing on the back to a greater or lesser degree. But it's definitely not as bad as it can be with Soul the Duelist. And you guys will see, so like for the most part, the retail ultis are all there, and then the hobby ultis are the ones which are missing for most of these sets. And even when they are in there, sometimes they're worse condition as well. So you guys can see, this is an ultra ulti, Mystic Swordsman level 4, but it's got some edge wear on the top. It's just like an LP card. And there's no Horus level 8 in this set. There is an Armed Dragon level 7, but again, you guys can see the edge wear. It's just like around an LP kind of card. And yeah, the lower rarity cards are mostly unsleeved, but there's a lot of quantity of the super rares from these sets, which reflects the fact that the seller opened packs to actually get the complete sets in the first place. So when you do that with GX, you'll get a whole ton of the super rares from the set, and only a handful of the ultis in comparison. Like you've got to open, in theory, probably about 15 boxes to get a full set with all of the ultis. And out of 15 boxes, you'll get like 60 supers, so you get a lot of duplication going on. Alright, so that's it for Soul the Duelist. Still another 15 sets to go, I believe. The next one has the most holos from any of them, which isn't surprising because Rise of Destiny is easily the most overprinted set in old school Yu-Gi-Oh! In first edition. So again, we have like a bunch of retail ultis first ed. These are really nice. One of my favorite ultis from this set, Dark Blade the Dragon Knight. And both of these are pretty clean. They're both near mint. One of them looks like maybe even a 10 candidate, which would be pretty awesome. So I'm probably going to submit that soon. Yeah, most of these don't have a lot of value for Rise of Destiny just because it was so overprinted. But they've still gone up a lot over the years. Like back in 2017, 2018 kind of era, most of these ultis were still under $1 first set near mint. And now I think they're kind of $5, $10. Some of them are even more than that for the retail ultis. And the hobby ultis have gone up a lot. Yeah, there's 2 machine dupes, but sadly they're both pretty beat up. This one is like, heavy play, damaged. But even the other one is probably light play at best. That's a card I've never been able to find a gradable copy of. So that's the end of the ultis. Then we just have a bunch of ultras, special edition promos as well. So there's a bunch of DMGs, whole bunch of the other special edition ultras. I assume the seller just opened special editions to get their set for Rise of Destiny rather than booster boxes. Because for Rise of Destiny, the special editions, pretty much, if not all, have first edition packs in them as well. Just because of how much they overprinted the packs, so they still had a whole ton of them left over after making the booster boxes. So the special editions are kind of the way to go in terms of opening them, because you get the packs for the same amount, and then you also get promos on top of it. And then yeah, a whole bunch of super rares as well. I did see there's a couple of miscut supers, which is pretty common for Rise of Destiny. Let's see if we can find one. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so you guys can see that's like way off center left to right. There's still a tiny bit of the right border, so I guess it's not quite miscut. But yeah, this is pretty common for Rise of Destiny on the supers and ultras. I'm not really sure why. And that does it for Rise of Destiny. You can see that's a big stack of holos. And the collection did include non-holos as well, like commons and rares. About, I think, like 8, 9, 10,000 of them. But obviously they're not really that interesting to go through, so I'll just look through those in my own time. Right, this is Flaming Eternity, which the seller had a complete set of Flaming Eternity, but she told me she already sold that all as one a few years back. So this is just the extras, just a handful of ultis and supers. None of the ultras included, and none of the better ultis really. Alright, then Lost Millennium is up next. This is what some people consider the first actual GX set, I guess. It's the first one with elemental heroes and things like that. This one is pretty close to complete, so I think it has maybe all of the retail ultis, and then it even has some of the bigger hitters. So here's an Ultra ulti, Reshef the Dark Being. That one, I haven't really had any time to look over these in that much detail yet, but from a first look, that did look like a PSA 10 kind of candidate. These are all NA print cards because the seller is from North America. So they're a lot less cool than the Euro versions of TLM. And so I'm probably not going to keep many of these, to be honest. I might need some of them for my binder, but in general, the Euro version just looks so much cooler. And I have pretty much all of the Euro print cards as like 10s or at least gem quality raw already. So yeah, this doesn't really add much to my collection, I guess. Alright, and then here are the Ultras, and then the super rares and special edition cards and things like that. It's kind of weird because GX sets have fewer super rares per set than the original like LOB to AST era. They only have 7 instead of 10, but somehow they still ended up being on the whole just way worse than the original super rares. So I feel like pretty much the majority of supers from GX are worth like $1 or less, even today. Here's Cybernetic Revolution. Again, a lot of retail ultis with a handful of hobby ultis as well, like that Skyscraper. And most of these are pack fresh. But with CRV, I guess the edges have a lot of issues even when they are pack fresh for the NA print. So this Power Bond, just to give you guys an example, you guys can see this is pretty much a pack fresh card, front and back, like no scratching, absolutely nothing, never really been played with or touched. But it still has some decent chipping on the top edge. It would probably just get like a PSA 8. And that's pretty common with CRV for the NA print, especially on the front edges. So yeah, a lot of this stuff will be for sale, including the ultis, but I need to sit down first and work out which ones I want to keep. So it'll probably be at least a week or two until I start actually selling anything. This one is a really strong example of that edge wear. So again, this Miracle Fusion is actually like more or less a pack fresh card. If you guys look at it, not really any scratching going on or edge wear except for the top front edge, but that edge is pretty rough. That's like an LP card at best, just from the factory chipping that it has. So yeah, CRV is a pretty rough set to open. I mean, the pull rates aren't good in terms of getting the big hitters and ultis, and then even if you get them, they can easily have issues like that, and they're just going to grade 7s or 8s. So yeah, these are the supers and ultras from the set. Not as much duplication going on as with Rise of Destiny, but still a solid amount of holos overall. Elemental Energy is another set where she sold her complete set already like a few years back. So she just had one extra ulti, which was a Cyberblader, and then it's just like the special edition cards, super rares. Nothing too crazy overall. Just to give you guys an idea of the condition, these are pretty much pack fresh. Bit of condensation there, but yeah, the majority of these have never been played. They were just open, put straight into sleeves back when the sets like originally dropped. So this is like 2005, and then just never touched again until the seller took them out and started selling them a few years back. Right, next up is Shadow of Infinity. Again, pretty solid selection of ultis. What's nice is we get the Ruin and Demise pair, and both of these are like pack fresh mint. The Ruin is not even badly centered, so that one might be able to get a 10. The Demise is definitely a bit too OC left to right, but still a very cool ulti. This doesn't include any of the Sacred Beasts, which are by far the biggest cards in the set. But it does have the Cyber Laser Dragon, which is an ultra ulti. This again is really clean. 2 OC for a 10, but even a 9 on that's going to be worth a good few hundred. There are the ultra versions of the Sacred Beasts, which we did get. And then again, the special edition cards. These are the ones which come, for some reason, as ultras in European print. So these are the secret rares, which are NA. And then the Euro print equivalents, for whatever reason, were printed as ultra rares. And then again, we have a whole bunch of different supers. I'm not sure if I'm going to grade any of these. Some of them, I guess, if they're 10 worthy, I may keep to grade. But they're just such abundant cards. They're never hard to find in your mint condition. So it's not really worth grading unless it's kind of iconic, like a Cyber Dragon super rare or something like that. Alright, next set is Enemy of Justice. Again, one of the better sets in terms of how many ultis were included. I think it's pretty much all of them except for the really big hitters like the Phoenix Enforcer, Shining Phoenix Enforcer, and one or two others. But a lot of good stuff like Dreadmaster, Harvey's Pet Baby Dragon, and Wild Wingman are in here. And there's even some duplicates of some of the retail ultis. And often, NA Print EOJ has a lot of that chipping on the top edge as well from the pack. So it's kind of another set that I wouldn't really recommend opening because often you're not even going to get like 9 quality cards out of the pack, let alone 10s. But this is like a really good batch of EOJ. So I guess the seller opened them all at the same time, so they're all kind of from the same case or something like that. And none of them really have that chipping on the top edge, which is really nice to see. So a lot of these I will grade, like Banisher the Radiance is probably a good few hundred if that gets a 10. Same with a lot of the other retail ultis as well. Here are the ultras. Those are probably worth grading. The Phoenix Enforcers. Again, all of this stuff is basically pack fresh. Whole bunch of Wild Wingman super rares. And that's probably the only super that's really worth anything from here. Yeah, okay, so that is the end of the era of sets which have 3 things in the card code. So it goes like EOJ is still just 3 digits, and from Power of the Duelist onwards it goes to 4. I know a lot of people kind of stop collecting at Enemy of Justice for that reason. But I always found that kind of weird because there's, aside from the thing changing from 3 to 4, there's no real difference in era between EOJ and POTD. I think this is the most complete set out of all of them. This just is missing the 4 Ultra Ultis, so the Neos Fusions and the Chimeratech Overdragon. Aside from that, I believe all of the other 21 Ultis are in here. And again, they're all pretty much pack fresh. So these I'm going to grade for sure. I think I have clean copies of the Flare Scarab and Aqua Dolphin already, but I don't have a gradable Dark Panther yet. So that's really cool to pick up one of those. Honestly, I think I probably prefer these to their Fusion counterparts, just in terms of artwork. Somehow I always just thought they looked more unique than the Neos Fusions. So that's the ultis, and then some ultras, and the super rares as well. Next up is Cyberdark Impact. One of the less good GX sets, I would say. Aside from the Cyberdark cards, there's very little in here which is that like memorable or nostalgic. I do remember opening a lot of these packs as a kid, but I don't know, most of the ultis just really are not much to look at. And this set didn't include the big hitters like the Cyberdark Dragon in ulti. So yeah, nothing too crazy in there. And again, like a big pile of super rares. I assume most of these, like a Cyber Esper super rare, that's got to still be less than $1 easily per card. Trojan Blast as well. So they're pretty much just bulk foils at this point. But it's still cool to hold this many in one place, all in pack fresh condition. And we're actually getting pretty close to the end of the sets here. I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more sets to go for GX. And GX is where the seller stopped collecting, so she doesn't have any 5Ds cards or anything like that. So now that I've made this purchase, I think pretty much I have all of her stuff. There's a few little bits and bobs, like Dark Beginnings, Dark Revelation, that she still has and which I'm going to try and purchase. But yeah, this is the majority of what she had at this point. SGON has some of the nicer hobby ultis. Rainbow, that's a Ultra ulti. Great Shogun Sheen. And the Air Hummingbird is included as well, which again is a really nice card. And again, I think I prefer this to the Air Neos. Obviously, the value is a lot less. But yeah, I just really like the artwork on the card. Strike of Neos is the set which reintroduced secret rares to the TCG. So we got a few of those in here as well. And then, yeah, just the regular Ultras. Special edition promos. Not really sure how much the Cyber End Dragon is worth at this point. This is the original release of the alternative artwork. So it's kind of cool. I mean, I think the original artwork is a lot better for it. But being the first printing of a different art, I assume it may have some value nowadays. And yeah, that's an awesome card. Gene Warped Werewolf. That was always one of my favorites from the set. Alright, next up is my personal favorite GX set, which is Force of the Breaker. And I was really happy to see that this set included like a pack fresh Sapphire Pegasus. I have a few of them already, but this is easily one of the most nostalgic Ultimate Rares to me in the whole of GX. I pulled a Topaz Tiger and a Sapphire Pegasus out of the first couple of packs of Force of the Breaker I ever opened, like both Ultimate Rare. So that kind of immediately just made me like the set a lot. And I would always try and run decks of these as well back in the day. So yeah, they're just super nostalgic. And the foiling looks awesome as well. Both European print and A print like this. Really cool effect on the foil. It is a little bit OC, so I'm not sure if it'll get a 10. If it doesn't, I might try it for like BGS or CGC or something, because it is super clean. Yeah, again, most of the retail ultis are in here, and then not so many of the others. There is the Volcanic Doomfire, but this one is not gradable. It looks really nice on the front, but it has a little bit of like light scratching and stuff on the back. So I'm just going to keep that one in the binder, which is fine by me because I actually needed a binder copy of this. And again, we have some secret rares. Most of these really aren't worth a lot. It's kind of surprising to me. The late GX secret rares, aside from the really famous ones like, Dad, Judgment Dragon, things like that, in general, the others are worth like so little. Some of them are even $10 or less for near mint, which, considering how hard they are to pull, is yeah, it's just kind of surprising to me. This one is really nice. This could get a 10, I think, which would be very cool. Yeah, and that's it for the secret rares, and then we just have the ultras, and then another big stack of super rares. Right, next up is Tactical Evolution. Not one of my favorite sets from GX. Even Rainbow Dragon, I mean, it's kind of cool, but to be honest, it was never my favorite card. Most of the secret rares as well. I mean, they have cool artwork, but they're just not very memorable, I guess, kind of like Cyberdark Impact. I do like the Fifth Hope ulti. Again, that one has a pretty cool foil pop to it. Crystal Seer was worth a lot back when it came out, and there's a whole bunch of them in here. I'm not even sure how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7. I think there might even be, yeah, there's an 8th one. Oh, and a 9th one, so look at that. 9 Crystal Seer Ultra Rares. Back at release, that would have been worth a decent amount, but yeah, nowadays I assume that's just a couple of bucks a card. So that's the ultimate rares, then the special edition promos, and then finally all of the regular super rares like we've had for the other sets. Alright, 3 more sets to go. Next up is Gladiators Assault. It's another set where I guess there are some very high-end cards, but most of the regular ultis and secrets are really not worth a great deal. And this doesn't include any of the big hitters. There's no magic formula or anything like that. No ulti security orb either, which makes sense because this card doesn't exist in North American print as an ultimate rare. Not in first edition anyways. That's just one of those unexplained, anomalies of old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, and then the super rares. Again, I don't think any of these really have any value as supers. Alright, next up is Phantom Darkness. I think this is the set where they changed it to only having 10 ultimate rares per set. So they gradually cut it down throughout GX. It started with 25%, and then I think Force of the Breaker is the last one to have 25. Then they cut it down to 14. So they got rid of the rare ultis, the retail ultis, and then I think it was Phantom Darkness where they cut it down to just the ultras, and they put 10 ultras per set. So yeah, there's only 10 ultis from this point onwards, which actually means the ultis get quite a bit easier to pull. So yeah, mostly just the regular rarity cards included here. Not many of the ultimate rares or secrets. Because, like I said, the seller was already winding down collecting, I guess, when GX was finishing. And the final set that she ever bought any packs of was Light of Destruction. And she told me she actually had a sealed box of Light of Destruction that she kept. So she didn't really collect the cards herself. I think she bought them for her kids, and they would open the packs. But for Light of Destruction, they were losing interest, so she bought a few boxes, and they didn't even end up opening all of them. So she had an extra sealed box, which is easily one of the rarest boxes out there for old school Yu-Gi-Oh! But yeah, she already sold that a few years back, so before I was ever in touch with her. Just one ulti from Light of Destruction and a couple of secrets. And then just the regular rarity, ultras and supers, so nothing crazy, no Judgment Dragon or Lightsworn stuff. But yeah, overall, pretty cool collection purchase. I think we had over 200 different ultimate rares from GX in there, so that's way over half of all of the ultis from the entire era. There's a lot of stuff that I need to go through, work out if I'm going to grade it or not. So I'll be doing that over the next couple of weeks, I guess. And then once I've sorted all of that out and checked what I need for my binder as well, then I'll start putting this stuff up for sale. So I'd say you can probably expect some stuff for sale in maybe 2 to 3 weeks from now. But yeah, it just depends how much time I get, because I do have a lot of other stuff going on at the moment as well. But with that being said, we have reached the end of this video, so thank you everyone for watching. This is Schlost signing out. I'll see you guys all in the next video.